Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to your Sunday night live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton himself. And of course, thank you guys for joining us. The show belongs to you. Show of the people, for the people, and by the people. So throw out your questions, comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time talking about one of the I would say the most thrilling Longhorn victories in quite a while, Jerry, on the 40 acres. 17-point comeback, historic for the Longhorns. I rewatched it. I'm sure you have. I'm sure a lot of Longhorn fans have rewatched it as well. Before we dive into some of the questions and some of the comments out there, give me your thoughts about what you thought now about on the rewatch and your perspective now looking at that historic Longhorn victory over Mississippi State.
Yeah, so I said on the show with Bobby on Rapid Reactions this morning that I think one of the things is, look, and it's the two of the bottom feeders in the SEC in overtime, but they were on the road. But they had to win games two different ways, Rod, and it gives you hope is not a strategy. Hope is not where you want to be, but it gives you possibility. Because 2 weeks ago against Kentucky, it had to be a goal line stand. And it had to be won by defense and special teams.
Yep.
Then yesterday in Starkville, the offense actually came through when the defense wasn't playing as well, and special teams. So they have had to win games two different ways in the last 2 weeks. And I think there's something to that. And this one yesterday is most impactful because it should give the offense confidence for the first time this year, truly, Rod, because Sam Houston doesn't matter. Let's be real.
No.
Not after – then you go after Florida and what happened. This should be the first time this year this offense has confidence headed into a week of practice because I think they've been fighting it all year.
That's a good point because there's like proof of concept now.
Yes.
That you could – if you got to go out there and win kind of a shootout game, that you could do it. You could score enough points to do it. I was a little bit surprised they were able to put that many points on the board. And I wasn't surprised, though, that the defense got exposed a little bit. I wasn't surprised at that at all because you've talked about it. I've brought it up as well, that at one point, if the offense doesn't pull their weight, the defense is going to be exposed. And people say, well, the offense actually made some plays. They did. They made a lot more plays later in the game. They did early in the game. But this is also that defensive, I think, performance showing that, they were a little tired. I think you could see that the legs were, a little heavy for the Longhorns this game. After playing that overtime game against Kentucky, 80-something plays. And in this contest, too, what'd you get to? Overtime and what? How many get to? Almost 80 plays in this game?
81, yeah.
81 plays. There is a cumulative effect
in
your defense. So that's why the offense got to do their part, right? That's what we're talking about, extending drives and them actually being effective. But I'll give the defense a ton of credit, man. When they needed to be clutch and show up, they did. And PK made some great adjustments. So it was just a great team win. And, Ryan Niblett, this guy saved your season 3 weeks in a row. I don't know if I can remember anything like it before, honestly.
Yeah.
Watching Texas, I don't remember. Other than talking about some of the GOATs and them putting the team on their backs at times, but 3 weeks in a row to essentially make the plays of the game.
And Rod, he wouldn't field the ball in week one. So think about how far he's come.
Yeah.
He let too many punch drop against Ohio State. We talked about hidden yardage. He can't do this all season. We're worried about him. Man, is this guy going to catch the football, make plays on the ball? Can he be your punt returner? I'll give him ultimate credit for sticking it out, fighting through it, not transferring when so many other people did, and he's gained confidence. And you know what? And that's a great point, FT Taco, Rod. He now has a place in Texas history, as weird as that sounds.
No, he's going to be the greatest 21 of Texas football history, potentially. He's going to surpass Rod B. I didn't think it would happen via a return guy, but Niblett did it. Because I cannot recall any player really, like I said, other than maybe a quarterback. Throw it out there, maybe a quarterback. Maybe got in 3 straight games, so making the play of the game to save the season.
Yeah.
It's just, And like I said, talk about the someone that was an unlikely hero this season.
Yeah.
Who saw that coming?
Rod, we talked all week. Mississippi State won't punt him the ball.
I agree.
And they went ego and not only punted it, they
kept doing it. They kept doing it though, Jerry. They did it they did it like 4-5 times. They punted to him. I mean, right through it. Yeah, he has returned 16 punts for Texas in his career to this point. 6 of those have been for more than 40 yards. Right, Niblett is the greatest punt returner in Texas Longhorn history. Honestly, DK Dub, you got a great argument. I've not done the research. I played with one of them. Nathan Vasher was a damn good one.
Yes.
Eric Metcalf is in that conversation. There were some great ones, but I don't know if anybody's done what Niblett has done right now. So yeah. Hell of a group of 21s. Tim Duggan, Rod B, and Niblett. No, I'll say Niblett, I kind of feel bad, but I feel good. He saved the season, but Rod B being the greatest number 21 in Texas football history, it might be done. And I'm happy. I am more than happy, all right, to take a back seat if Niblett going to keep saving the season like this. So keep doing your thing. He has definitely been the story of this. He's stolen, I should say, the storylines this season. Good for him. All right. Let's get to some of the questions, and then we'll dive into some of the other topics. I know there are head coaching carousel discussion to get to, so I know you guys have questions about that. We'll dive into it, but obviously talking a lot about the Texas win over Mississippi State. Let's start with Juan Super Chat. He says, Juan here says, let's say LSU fires Kelly and Florida hires Kiffin. Does LSU go after Dan Lanning or Jeff Brom? Who would be the top candidate for LSU? LSU. Oh, it's already done. Yeah. So,
what's interesting, Rod, is okay, chat. This is interesting because times have changed in college football.
Yeah.
Rod, if you're Lane Kiffin, would you take Florida or LSU? See, the most people would say LSU, but Florida's more equipped in the NIL world. Like Brian, so here's my take on Brian Kelly. I think Brian Kelly's a good football coach. Brian Kelly has 3. He's won at a high level everywhere he's ever been. He'll be a dang near Hall of Fame coach. He'll coach again. It'll be 350 career wins. But he was never a good fit at LSU. They was a bad fit to start there. Yeah. But if you're Lane Kiffin, look, both these schools have won 3 national titles since 97. They won the same amount of national championships, I believe. Most people would say, oh, it's automatically LSU. I'm not so sure. I think Florida, from an NIL perspective, is better situated for where college football is today.
I agree with that. I do think the right guy, and to the point, Brian Kelly was not a good fit. We all mocked and joked about him not being a great fit at LSU. The right guy, I do think, could unite that donor base there at LSU, because you're right. Florida, I think, has an advantage in the new NIL revenue sharing era in that regard. But I do think, of course, if you can unite that group, that base, it's not right now. That's pretty obvious, right? Yeah. They want him out. I do think LSU can still be as powerful in this day and age as Florida. And this is the thing I like about LSU, right? You talk about those national titles at Florida. Man, the national titles at LSU, it feels like they've been there's been more reinventions of it, right? Yeah. For me at LSU, right? The different coaches have been able to win it. And the LSU kind of championship runs have not always been by Hall of Fame coaches.
No.
That's what I like about LSU.
Well, they fired one. They fired one right after he won one.
Yeah. Like the ones by Florida, they're all like, man, it's like Hall of Fame coaches. Like, well, can you be Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier? But LSU is like Ed Orgeron. You can pull that off, right? Yeah. I mean, there's something about LSU that if you get it right there, you can. I feel like you can reinvent yourself for a championship form pretty quickly there, LSU, because there's so much talent. You don't have with LSU and basically Louisiana being one of the top 5 most fertile recruiting grounds in the country for football talent. LSU doesn't have any natural competition in that state. There are some people that just Stevie Lee talks about it all the time. They grow up, it's like, no, they're going to LSU.
No doubt. That's the thing. But so here's my question. And this is where NIL has changed the game.
That's true.
From the Nick Saban years through the Ed Orgeron years, if you're from the state of Louisiana, you were expected to go to LSU.
Yeah.
Well, now somebody can give a kid $800,000 reasons not to go to LSU, and it's no longer get mom a job type of recruitments and a car and a little bit of cash for all player X. This is a different game now, and can LSU truly play in that sandbox? If they don't make the absolute splash hire or the hire that excites their fan base, let's see if they can actually play in the sandbox. I know rev share is one thing, but rev share is not everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, thank you for the question. Josie says, well, with this LSU firing their head coach, the real question, can we fire Jerry for being an Aggie and covering the Longhorns thoughts? Oh, man. Hey, the Aggies look good. That's what now the Aggie put such a whipping on them. They were like, hey, man, let's make this move.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, A&M is you got to give them credit. Elko has a power run game, and he's built it around this power run game.
And they got two good receivers on the outside in case you want to go 8 in the box. They can win one-on-ones on the outside.
They're built for the SEC because they can power run game between the tackles, and they play off of that. Le'Veon Moss has been out, and they've rushed for 217 and 224. Damn. They can run the football.
And the QB can scramble off schedule if needed when the play breaks down.
And now they got a break because Missouri's on QB3, and it's not the same as QB1.
No, you're right.
And they go to Missouri, and they'll beat Missouri this weekend, and they're in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, because I can just load the box now. I mean, they ain't got no quarterback that can really hurt you.
Yep.
But, no, you're right about they have a lot of solutions on their offense, like for everything that you try to present to them defense or take away. No, they look impressive. All right, Lock in Horns with a super chat. I like this one. It's a good question. Did the Mississippi State comeback help us find our offensive identity or further confuse who we are? That is a good question because a lot of people have talked about now that fourth quarter for Texas. And I've observed this too, and I've kind of classified it, Jerry, as kind of it's a crisis mode, or I don't know what to call the O-ish offense, or call it the fit hit the shan plan. Like, I don't know what happens, but when they get down, and they were down, I guess at this point, 31-14 is kind of when they were activated in this way, where they abandon the run game. They just say, to hell with the run game. And they get into a spread, sometimes an up tempo. Sometimes it depends on how early they start in the game and how much they're down. They go up tempo, they spread things out, and the scramble drill for Arch becomes even more weaponized because they're not worried about running. And it's a lot of straight drop back, which I've said before is really good for Arch. The straight drop back works better than the RPO and the play action. And so you're combining a lot of elements that work. His deep ball is really good. And so usually you're bombing a lot of times too, trying to make plays down the field and trying to get chunk yardage plays. You're trying to score quickly. So a lot of the assets that he has in his skill set, they are maximized in that situation and circumstance. So I don't know how you bottle that because you did it against Ohio State.
Yeah.
You did it against Florida. And we saw it again here against Mississippi State. And to me, what is the kind of the commonality of those games is that you kind of get down double digits. So desperation mode is definitely activated. And even Sark calls it differently. Sark's like, F it. I'm not worried about balance anymore. To hell with handing it off. To hell with the run game. We got to score quickly. Let's go. And he starts just kind of dialing up his favorite pass concepts and the best ones for All right. So I don't know how you bottle that. I don't know how you bottle that and do it for 4 quarters. Oklahoma's second half is the only time we've seen it for more than a quarter where they bottle that type of, intensity offensively and efficiency.
One thing that was interesting, a change that Sark made, it was A.J. Milwee back in the box for the first time in over a year. Rod, that was big. That was interesting to me because Sark returned Milwee to having eyes in the sky for him because Milwee was in the box until last season, Quinn's final year at Texas, and they thought AJ needed to come down to the field to have the in-game conversations and take a look at the iPads in between possessions and have that communication on the field with Quinn. Well, they did that the first 7 games this year. and then they just move Milwee back to the box. And I think that is interesting because that to me was a signal that Sark wanted somebody's eyes in the sky and relay to him some things in terms of play call.
Okay.
And I'm interested to see moving forward. Now, that had nothing to do with having 2 plays for 100 yards and 102 yards after that in 3 quarters, essentially, or almost 3 quarters, right?
Mm.
But did A.J. Milwee have a lot of input in that final quarter of the game? I don't know. Well, we're going to find out. If we see a big change moving forward, I think we're going to have to look back at that and say that was a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, and Arch was great. Like he was really good situationally under pressure late in the game. Once it seems like Texas figured some things out. They made a change on the offensive line that might help them in pass protection. But it is uncanny when this team is in crisis mode offensively, what they can accomplish. I got some more numbers I'll share with you guys later, but I did a kind of a breakdown about it, and it's like I said, it's eye popping actually. All right, Killer 1021. How about this one? If Arch isn't able to start against Vandy, Caldwell comes out, lights it up. Are we headed towards an Applewhite Sims scenario?
No.
Ooh, can we just give Matthew Caldwell some props really quickly so before we dive into this question, Killer, because the few times he's been out there, he does look poised and cool and calm and collected. And to find out from CJ, and shout out to CJ, he dropped that nugget for us in the post game, that the fade was a check by him. Like he audibled and checked to the fade route. It was like an RPO that he checked to because he liked the alignment and he thought, hey, it's a better chance that they can convert it. And he was right. It was a beautiful throw. And I just want people to know that, and this is an NFL study that actually I found from a couple years ago, that they did a study about routes in the end zone, like routes that are most effective in the end zone. And this is the NFL, so it's not college, but at least it's comparable. And they found that the fade route, that fade, end zone fade, is the most like inefficient, low success rate route in the end zone that you can throw. That unless you got a Calvin Johnson or big body receiver who's really good at that, that is pretty much a low percentage, low success rate throw. And it's really tough. Like it's just the toughest one to convert. But for him to come out there cold and throw that kind of route with that kind of accuracy and that kind of touch, I'll give him credit. I'll give Emmett Mosley a lot of credit because he may be that kind of receiver.
Yes, he is.
Makes those kind of catches look easy.
I was going to ask the chat, how many other receivers on this team would have made that catch? That was fully outstretched, looking up into the sky, ball coming over your head. That is an extremely difficult catch than to get 1 foot in.
Yeah.
That is real football awareness naturally to get a foot in. But that was a fully outstretched catch with your arms. How many receivers would have made that catch? That's the other part of it. But to this question, I want to say this, and this is what I said in a video this morning on Matthew Caldwell, because I just want to keep it simmered down a little bit here. Matthew Caldwell is a career 59% completion passer in college football, 22 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. He has 1 start against the Power 4 team in his career. He went from Jacksonville State to Gardner-Webb to Troy. So I just want to make sure that –
slow down.
But let's keep the expectations realistic here because sometimes it's easy. Not saying that the throw he made wasn't great, but sometimes it's easier to come into a game. One thing he's got for him, he's been watching all year, and that does help, I think, quarterbacks. When they've been watching all year, they see the game, they see the Texas players, and they're in the meeting room, but they don't have the pressure being the guy. I think that provides a real opportunity for the number 2, but he now faces something totally different. He's more than likely going to be starting against top 10 ranked Vanderbilt in Austin on Saturday. This is the first time in his career he started a game like this.
Yeah.
So I hope he has the game of his life, but all I'm trying to say is let's keep it realistic here. Because there's nothing in his career in college to this point that says he's going to string together 2, 3, 4, 5 consistent high-level games. I'm not saying he can't, but he's never done it before, and he's never been in a position where he has to do it before either.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a totally different deal now when you become the starter. It's like being the assistant coach. Then when you sit in that chair, it's a lot different as the head coach.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And I'm not saying he won't play well. I'm just trying to keep expectations a little closer to realistic.
Yeah. That's a good point. I agree.
Hey, by the way, Rod, the other thing is KJ Lacey's a play away. And Missouri's on quarterback 3. You never know what's going to happen. Will Sark not run Caldwell much at all if he's the starter Saturday? Because if Caldwell goes down with a rolled ankle, KJ Lacey has to come into the game against Vanderbilt.
Bring back the Wild Terry. Bring back the Wildcat and run some of that Wild Terry with it. If you want to do quarterback ranking, because I'm with you. At this point, you don't want to take chances because things are fragile right now at the quarterback position for you. That's why they went out and got a veteran quarterback. So
I want to say this. Somebody said, are we Will Butler said, are we breaking those? We're just talking about if Arch is out. We'll let Sark say whatever he says tomorrow on that.
Yeah.
We're talking about the if scenario.
Hypotheticals over here. So we don't know any news about Arch. It's the assumption or like I said, the hypothetical that he may not play. But the
reality is Texas will be preparing for Matthew Caldwell to be the starter in the case that Arch can't go this week. So they may be preparing 2 guys, but this is like this is going to be a preparation of Matthew Caldwell has to be the guy.
Hope for the best, you prepare for the worst as a coach. That's how it goes. All right, Edgar with a super chat. Thank you. Oh, by the way, I don't think you'll get a quarterback controversy.
No, I don't either.
Sark will avoid that at all costs. Like he will avoid that. Edgar says, was glad to see an aggressive pass rush unleash Anthony Hill. Also drives me nuts that our DBs play so far off the line. Feels like opposing teams just toss it around to wide receivers. I will say this about Anthony Hill. First of all, he had, I think, 18 snaps as a pass rusher, according to Pro Football Focus. That's the most he's had all season. So that's a good sign. Instead of using him more as a pass rusher. And he had 9 pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. So, I mean, that's 50% of the time when he was a pass rusher, he was able to create some kind of havoc. So 2.5 sacks. So I think they should do that more. They had 13 pass rush snaps, I believe, in the Kentucky game. So Jerry said it, and I agree. They got to start using him more as a pass rusher. Maybe it's on the edge. Sometimes it's from the second level as a blitzer. But either way, I think to me, it only makes sense. Like he can have this type of effect on every game going forward. He really can.
I watched went back and watched, I'm going to watch a couple other Vanderbilt games, but Vanderbilt, Missouri. And I think Texas can get after them in pass rush. I really do. I think they have right guard and left tackle issues against Texas pass rush. Now, you have to win in the run game for Texas, but I think Texas has a real opportunity to eat on the defensive front 7 against Vanderbilt. I really do. And I'm not trying to discount Diego Pavia and how great of a leader he is and how great of a season Vanderbilt's having. I actually like this matchup for Texas in that regard. I think Texas defensive front 7 has a real opportunity. I think there's a couple 3 spots on that offensive line for Vanderbilt where Texas is going to have a pretty good advantage when you consider Missouri's edge guys are really good and Texas are comparable from a talent perspective, if not better with Colin Simmons. I mean, Damon Wilson's really a talented pass rusher. And when you see the way he won against Vanderbilt, you can see Colin Simmons doing the same thing. It's right there. It's easy to see. I'm going to be interested to see how the Vanderbilt offensive line, again, this is 3 straight games for those guys, physical games in a row. Because they had LSU and Missouri at home. Now they come to Austin. But I think Texas has a chance to be quite disruptive against Diego Pavia Saturday.
All right. And about the DBs playing off, I would just say this: 223 yards after the catch for Mississippi State. So they did give up a lot of easy underneath stuff. I think they were afraid of the speed on the outside. Brendan Thompson. I mean, they had a lot of world-class speed on the outside. I think Texas they didn't want to give up anything cheap. All right. Paxton with a super chat. Thank you, Paxton. He says, how many of these blue blood schools keep up financially after firing coaches?
I think quite well, because you get, what's your SEC TV contract? You start at $95 million a year. I think it now LSU. That's kind of part of the thing with LSU versus a Florida job for me. Florida's got money in the coffers. Not sure LSU's in that same spot, and that's kind of what I look at from an NIL perspective and where college football is at today versus 6-7 years ago. And I'm not saying LSU can't compete. I'm not saying that, but I do think things are a little different nowadays for them. So their hire is going to be huge. But in terms of all these schools, I mean, I don't think the SEC schools have an issue. Like if FSU fires Norvell, I think they have an issue. Or they expect it to, whatever. I think they have a bit of an issue. I think LSU could have an issue. Penn State, no issues. Florida, no issues. Hell, Florida's accustomed to buying out coaches at this point. So I don't think these schools have the issues people think. I do think there are 2 or 3 that do, though.
All right. Thank you, Paxton. Before we hit some more super chat, let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop before we move on tonight. Thank you to Rogue Shop for sponsoring our Sunday night live stream, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Rogue Shop ships nationwide, so no matter where you are in this great country of ours, our friends at Rogue Shop can get their fantastic products to you, no matter what you're dealing with. Maybe it's sleep deprivation, anxiety, aches and pains from battling Father Time or from your playing days, whatever it is. Our friends at Rogue Shop, they have so many great items. They have oils and creams, flour, gummies, things that will help you battle those ailments successfully. So reach out to them at rogueshop.com, and don't forget to use that discount code on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our very special friends over at rogueshop.com. All right, back to the super chats. Sean, thank you very much for the super chat. Says, being honest, what jobs are better than Texas, if any? That is good. That's a good question, because it ain't many. You probably can count them on one hand.
I mean, Ohio State, you can argue.
There you go.
And you can argue. I mean, that is a dominant school in Ohio. That's similar to LSU. Yeah. Kids grow up wanting to go to Ohio State.
They got to be in a fertile recruiting ground, like you said, too.
And they're a blue-collar state that then goes – what Ohio State has – by the way, I think the best recruiting job in the country is Georgia. Bar none, not even close right now. And I know Texas fans are going to disagree with that, but I'll get to that in a second. But Ohio State has something really working for them. It's a blue-collar state of kids, and then you can go out and recruit the rest of your roster around those blue-collar kids. Mm-hmm. That's a great spot to be from a talent roster building standpoint. Why I think Georgia is the best is Atlanta, greater Atlanta. You draw a 60, 80-mile radius around Atlanta. It's the most talented area in the country. And then you have talent in South Georgia. Oh, and then you're the neighboring state to Florida. Oh, and then you're a neighboring state to the Carolinas. That and Alabama to your west, and you're a national recruiting program. Georgia has unbelievable recruiting opportunity. I think more so than any others, and they dominate their state. Even though you dominate your state, it's not the way it was 20 years ago, but so many people have moved into Georgia, just like Texas. So not as many kids just grow up with Bulldog jerseys on, but Kirby continues to win enough to where, look, if he gets 6 out of the top 10 kids in the state of Georgia, that's a really good year, because some kids aren't going to stay, just like some kids aren't going to stay in Texas. But, man, you have to mess up the Georgia job pretty bad because of all the talent that's around Athens, in Atlanta, in that state. Yeah, it's just so talented there. It really is.
Yep. No, I've been tracking it for last 5 or 6 years, and there's no metro area producing NFL talent at the rate Atlanta is. Not even DFW. They're surpassed DFW, and actually by now like a couple of players per year in terms of producing NFL draftable talent. So it's something remarkable. It's special. All right. Billy with a super chat. Thank you, Billy. We appreciate it. Says, Rod B, can you track/differentiate tackles for loss via pass versus run? A better perspective. Hook 'em. That is a good point. I mean, I guess with the screens or, little quick hitters outside, sometimes I think there were a couple of them actually for Texas, like a few of them that were like, they were passes, end up getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage, and that was a tackle for loss, but it wasn't necessarily a running play. That's a good question, Billy, and nobody really does it. I mean, I look at a lot of stats and a lot of data scientists, if you will, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody differentiate it. So honestly, I will see if I can kind of start, because it should be pretty easy. It shouldn't be that tough, Billy. And it goes to made up stats. One of the other stats that Arch is not Arch, the only one, but just kind of watching football recently. How do they not have a stat for like avoided sacks? To me, is like sack avoid, like just avoided sacks. Because to me, that is such an important skill. After watching Arch, especially this year, but just watching quarterbacks overall, and then basically when a guy is sacked, and you see like they can literally. A defensive line can almost put their hands on them and they still get away from it and can make a positive play, or just keep the negative play from happening. It's still, honestly, a lot of times just, to me, it's the best decision you can make, just throwing it away in that situation. So that's kind of a stat that I've thought about, is the avoided sacks, or sack avoidance, if you will. So thank you, Billy. I appreciate that one. Jeff's got a couple of them. So let's go back to back with Jeff. Jeff says Arch was bludgeoned repeatedly and never gave up. Then he led the comeback win. The team psychology did a 180 when Arch heated up. That's true. I agree with that, Jeff. You're right. Arch did lead the way. He was fearless in that game.
I was with a really good retired high school coach that was really good in the passing game for many years, today for about an hour. We were chatting, and he happened to watch the game. He doesn't watch every game, but he thought Arch looked like a totally different player in the last quarter and a half of that game than he's seen at all. Mm-hmm. He said that was easily, and this guy's a quarterback instructor now. He's really good. He was an instructor of the number 1 pick in the draft for years. He thinks Arch played easily that last quarter, change that he has at Texas.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like I said, I don't know how to explain it psychologically, and maybe somebody can ask Sark about it. But that crisis emergency mode when it kicks in that fourth quarter when they're down double digit, there is something that happens with Arch, and there's something that happens with Sark, and something happens throughout the entire team psychologically. It's fascinating. Like I said, I've been studying it, and I'm probably do a break. I'm gonna do a video about it because it's now got me. I'm titillated by the topic. All right, getting back to it here, Jeff. Another one. Same question as last week. Would you take 8-4 with a big win over the Aggies?
Chat. What do you got, chat?
8-4, the win over the Aggies. That means a loss.
Means a loss to Vanderbilt and Georgia right now. Beat Arkansas. Beat A&M.
The Georgia one. That doesn't bother me. The Vandy one, kind of. Vandy's a good team this year.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I'm looking at with Texas now. If you beat Vanderbilt, if Georgia beats you, they'll be favored. And if you beat Arkansas, the likelihood is A&M's going to be 11-0 coming to Austin. And you're going to be 8-3. And if you win that game against 11-0 A&M, who's going to be right now, two seed?
Yeah, top 2, yeah.
Then does that 9-3 Texas get in? That's where it gets tricky. So, Jeff, that's why I say no. Because if Texas beats Vanderbilt and they beat Arkansas, but they lose to Georgia, then that 8-3 scenario where A&M comes to Austin 11-0, there's a path to 9-3 to get in the playoffs, maybe. But I think Notre Dame's going to win out, and that might be the issue.
The chat is like, hell no. You want to know why they're so upset they don't want it? It's because they got to go to work with these people. They got their neighbors are Aggies. They get
see Ski Brett's probably thinking about it,
like hell no.
The thing though that's tough. Last year, that game was so impactful because A&M had to win to get in the playoffs, right? They had to get to the SEC championship game. Then they probably had to win it. A&M's going to get in the playoffs this year. They're catching Missouri at the right time. They're going to beat Missouri. They can run the football. They can score the ball. And then they have South Carolina at home and Samford. They're in the playoffs. So now the question is, how much do you value beating A&M when a question like that pops up?
Honestly, I'm glad the Aggies are doing their thing. I got faith that Texas football will be, in that double-digit win conversation when they play the Aggies. Not this year. I'm talking about in the future. And I've always said, when those two teams play, it'd be great if they were both
100%.
Really good teams. Like there's only been one time, I think, in the history of both programs since they've been playing that both programs have won double-digit games in the same season. It never happens. And it's gonna potentially come to fruition again this year. It never happens. They can't be good at the same time. It's so strange.
And in the future of college football, in the NIL world we live in, and I'm going to stand by this, especially when we go to 16 teams. A&M and Texas, where they stand in this whole NIL world, should be the state they're in, the recruiting geography map they have. They should be in the playoffs 4 out of every 5 years, both of those schools. If they have the right coach in place and they're doing it the right way.
Yep. No, I agree with that 100%. Christian with a super chat. Thank you, Christian. Says, what kills me about Texas fans is they are always chanting for the backup quarterback when the starter isn't playing up to their expectations. Please stop it. That is a tradition around here, Christian. That's just, even Bobby talks about it all the time, and Bobby's been around as long as anybody. That's as old as time when it comes to Texas fans complaining about the backup quarterback. Derek Arroyo, I'm sure, has some stories about it too. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Thank you, Christian, for that. We appreciate it. Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy, thank you for the super chat. Said, I would love for Twitter and OTF to have existed.
Oh, my gosh.
In the 04 OU game when the Sooners shut out Vince. Oh, damn. Yeah.
That would have been wild because Adrian Peterson had, 220 as a freshman in that game? It was 12 nothing.
Yeah. The move to wide receiver chance would have been really loud on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Back when we got beat by Oklahoma by
Roy Williams flying through the air.
Yeah. The 2000 one, we got just bludgeoned. I wouldn't want to see Texas Twitter after that. So, hey, Longhorn fans can vent. Hey, like I said, a lot of Longhorn fans, including myself, hey, I lost faith in that contest. I thought at one point, I was like, I think Texas is done. I'm glad they didn't lose faith. That's all that matters. Hey, so what we say, it don't really matter, all right? What matters is what they believe and what they talk about in their locker room. That's what matters. All right. Yep. We like to entertain ourselves out here. That's what we're about. And sometimes complaining is, that's entertaining for a lot of folks, especially Twitter. All right. Cisco here with the super chat says, we need to see less of Hill in coverage next game. Yes. Hill and him and Simmons.
Yes.
I don't like Colin Simmons dropping back in coverage too much, and I don't like Anthony Hill. Look, Anthony Hill's good, but I love the great quote, Jerry, from Will Muschamp. Thoroughbreds shouldn't go backwards.
That's right.
Those are 2 thoroughbreds.
I mean, look, if Saturday didn't show the people who needed to be shown something, what needs to happen, I don't know what to say. But if I'm playing Diego Pavia Saturday, I know he's got escapability. He's not super twitchy. He's just super instinctive.
Yep.
And he's strong, and he's got a massive heart in that side of that body. I want Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill hitting that guy as much as possible. I want those 2 guys putting as much pressure on the Vanderbilt offensive line as possible and see how accurate Pavia is going to be with 2 of the best pass rushers in the country after him. That's what I want to see Saturday.
Yeah. Pavia scared. I mean, last year, think about it, the plays he made, right? He scored on the scramble touchdown. He scored on the scramble drill touchdown, threw it in there, that kind of magical pass. He is, man. He's one of the best just instinctive players in college football and plays off of that. That's why he's so dangerous. Defending the scramble drill is going to be big this week for him. Just kind of keeping him contained. All right. Thank you, Cisco, for that. Juan, super chat. Thank you, Juan. Says, is LSU too big for Jeff Traylor? damn, I love Jeff Traylor as a coach. I'm a big fan of his.
I am too, but yeah, I mean, that's not a hire you can make after firing Brian. Brian Kelly's almost a Hall of Fame coach. He's got 7 career wins. He'll go coach somewhere else and probably end up with 330 wins. The guy's coached in a national championship game before, multiple playoffs. I just don't see that. And I think Jeff Traylor's tremendous football coach. But the UTSA programs also, because of the portal, not where it was, because those jobs are so difficult. But I don't think that. I think no matter how good a coach we think Jeff Traylor is, the LSU fan base would lose their minds. Now, there's one thing that would make them lose their minds worse. If Scott Woodyard hired his buddy Jimbo Fisher, I think the LSU fan base may revolt.
Oh, no.
I think they might legitimately revolt.
Oh, that would be that would be career suicide to do that. I mean, they would run you out of town on the rail. You can't do that. No.
I mean, look.
Let him be a consultant. When you hire your other coach, say you got to bring Jimbo as a consultant. We want him on.
It's a pie in the sky deal, right? You're going to call Jimmy Sexton and say $15 million a year for Nick. What's he going to say? And that's your pie in the sky offer, right?
Right, yeah. I agree.
You'll probably call Marcus Freeman's agent, because I think of the active coaches, he's the number one guy for ADs. He was at Florida. He turned down Florida. You'll probably give that one a ring. But then after that, you're going to let Lane go to Florida without a fight? Can you pull, would Dan Lanning leave Oregon for LSU? Or is Dan Lanning, what would it take him to leave Oregon?
Man, he's got a sugar daddy, though.
He's got a sugar daddy. That sugar daddy's what, 90-something?
That's fair. That is fair.
Sugar daddy ain't going to live forever.
It's true.
He's got Anna Nicole Smith, sugar daddy. So
that's the whole point. You do want a sugar daddy that's pretty old. That way.
Yeah. This ain't a South Florida sugar daddy. I don't know. I mean, what job would Dan Lanning leave Oregon for? Is it Texas? Is it Ohio State? Is it just one of 2 or 3 and he's happy out there? I don't know. It all gets interesting. Who LSU would actually go after if the pie in the skies don't happen, which nobody would expect them to. Lincoln Riley will not go to LSU.
No.
That he didn't. That won't happen after the last go round. That was bridge burned.
Agreed. Yeah. All right. CB. What's up, CB? Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it as always. Says, have you ever seen Sark that mad when addressing the NFL report from earlier in the day? Thoughts on said report? Great show, guys. Hook 'em. Great to hear from you, CB. Listen, I've always said I do think Sark has NFL aspirations.
Agree.
That over and over again on this channel.
Agree.
I said after he wins a national title at Texas, that's when y'all need to worry about it. Because that's when I think he's going to be like, hey, I achieved what I wanted there. And both of his mentors, Nick Saban, Pete Carroll, both tried it as well. One of them, Pete Carroll, was really successful. Nick Saban, that's kind of the one, and the one knock on Nick Saban is like, hey, he couldn't do it in the league. So I think Sark wants to do that at one point, but I don't think he believes his mission is accomplished at Texas. So in terms of the report, do I believe there's some truth to it? Yeah, probably so. Yeah. I think he's always open because he's got NFL aspirations, so he's always a little open to it. He's always listening. But in terms of, is it substantive him actually leaving Texas? Nah, not for the Titans. Now, if it was another job, I would think differently. But the Titans, not for the Titans.
Here's another piece to it. It's one thing to want to go to the NFL. It's another thing is, are you going to get a job in the NFL?
That's fair. Ain't many of them. And they don't come open very often. Well, I guess more than often. Maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe one comes over. That's how they come open every cycle. Like every 4 or 5 years, if it's not a good coach. There are some guys who have stayed there, the Tomlins of the world, but that's becoming more the exception and not the rule of the NFL. So I think if he wins a national title at Texas, he's going to have jobs or at least interest from NFL jobs at one point. But I think he's got to prove it here at Texas too. figure out this offense. I'm going to solve that. And then we'll worry about Sark to the NFL. But right now, I don't think it's substantive, in my opinion. All right, Vanta 45. With all the coaching turnover, who has the best coach and program right now?
Well, I mean, it's Georgia until they're knocked off. I mean, look, Kirby was on the ropes a little bit this year. You could say, hey, look, that ref crew from the Auburn game is permanently gone from the SEC. Just put that out there, the people that don't know that permanently banned from reffing in the SEC. Tennessee, missed a field goal, but Kirby gets his team up. Look, I mean, it's Ryan Day and it's Kirby's. It's Ohio State and Georgia right now until it's not. And if Marcus Freeman gets Notre Dame and then makes another playoff run, he might be with those guys because he's got a young quarterback. That's the thing about Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. For the people that are trying to hire Marcus Freeman right now, like Florida did, probably like LSU will field a call. He's got a quarterback he thinks he can win it all with. And that guy's a redshirt freshman. So, and that's Lloyd Carr. So, I mean, it's easy to say, if he takes the LSU job, CJ Carr will just go with him. I mean, that's easy to say. But I'm not, maybe that kid may want to play for Notre Dame, depending on who their head coach would be if Marcus Freeman left. But Marcus Freeman's Notre Dame's another one that, because they have a young quarterback. If he gets in the playoffs again and makes a run, then he does it with a freshman quarterback and not a transfer quarterback. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hard not to mention Ohio State or Georgia in that conversation. My best program, considering what both of those coaches have accomplished. All right. Thank you for that super chat, Vontae. Appreciate it. Landon here says, can somebody orchestrate a Jake Majors boot camp? Better yet, can we get him on the staff? Thank you, Landon, for the super chat. Definitely miss Jake Majors. Who wouldn't miss a 4-year starter at center?
Yeah,
there's no doubt in the interior, missing some of those veteran guys on the offensive line. But I will say they did get a lot better pass blocking later in that game when they had to put some points on the board. But that O-line is going to be a work in progress all season long, guys. Like I don't necessarily think they're ever going to be good at pass blocking or run blocking. Doesn't mean that they're going to lose all the games as a result of it, as we saw versus Mississippi State. All right. Rocky P, thank you for the super chat. Says PK needs to let this defense eat. It's going against his core, but this team looks scary when they let loose. They look good blitzing, Jerry. They look good blitzing. But that is Mississippi State.
Yeah, it is. And they have tackle problems, and Mississippi State had given up as many. I think the most sacks in the SEC or close to it at 20. Texas giving up 13 going into that game. Mississippi State giving up 20 for some context there. Mississippi State has issues in pass pro, no doubt about it. But I will stand by this. I think Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill as pass rushers, as a combo, is as good as anybody in the country. I mean, Anthony Hill had, 8.5 last year? And Colin did damage as a DPR. I think those guys turn loose on a consistent basis. Those two you can put them up with anybody in college football.
No, I think you definitely got to start using Anthony Hill more as a pass rusher. And I think they are. Like I say, it's trending the last 2 weeks. He's had the most pass rush snaps that he's had all season long. And I think that should continue. I think he's got 69 on the season so far. All right, let's thank our sponsor one more time before we approach the end of our live stream. Let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. Remember to use that discount code on Texas to get a very special discount from our very special friends over at Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Remember, they ship nationwide, so no matter where you are in this great country of ours, our friends over at Rogue Shop can get their fantastic products to you. And they have it all, from oils and creams to flour and gummies. And if you're dealing with sleep deprivation, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's just general aches and pains from getting old and battling Father Time, our friends at Rogue Shop, they have so many different items that can help you successfully battle those ailments. So reach out today at rogueshop.com, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. All right, we got a few more super chats before we get done today. Jason, thank you, Jason, for the super chat. Says, Jerry, I have thought for the last few cycles we have underspent on offensive line. Those chickens have come home to roost. I don't
know about that. I think, look, Texas did all they could to get a Michael Fasusi. He wanted to go somewhere he could start as a freshman. That wasn't going to be at Texas. He wanted to be a starting left tackle as a freshman. Mm-hmm. That wasn't going to happen with Trevor Gooseby at Texas. So I don't think it's that Texas hasn't tried to spend. I do think positionally a couple of positions within that offensive line, maybe. But Texas made as good a run as they could at Michael Fasusi. They didn't get him for lack of NIL attempt. They got him because they didn't get him because Michael Fasusi wanted to go somewhere he thought he could start as a true freshman, and he was correct. What does that mean to him now? I don't know, but he's starting as a true freshman. That wasn't happening at Texas.
All right. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate that. They're definitely going to spend on O-line, I think, coming up next cycle. No question about that. All right. Jonah Williams Enthusiast says, Jerry, why aren't more people talking about Craig Dandridge?
Really good player out of the Atlanta area, committed to Georgia. Yeah, out of I think it's Cambridge in Alpharetta. He's a really good player. Like he is I agree with you, Jonah Williams Enthusiast. He's a underranked guy. Now everybody can't be ranked high. There's a lot of really good players out there, especially in a state like that. Craig Dandridge is a really talented guy. If he's not a really good wideout at Georgia, I'll be surprised. He's got some explosiveness to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that, Jonah Williams Enthusiast. We appreciate it. Rocky Pete says, crazy though. I'm enjoying Rogue Shop. Hey, there you go. Enjoy that Rogue Shop. He said, if 49ers move on from Kyle Shanahan, would he be a good OC for Sark to take over play calling? Shanny come in 1 year and mix him in Sark. Yeah, I know Shanahan. I know Shano very well, and I don't think Shano, especially he's going to be a head coach because he wants to be a head coach. So he's not going to play call for anybody, even at the NFL level. I don't think he wants to.
Rod, how long would he be out of work? An hour and a half?
Wouldn't take. I don't even know if that he'd get calls before that.
He's coaching the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that'd be some team that probably would fire their coach and try to get Shanahan.
Like the Dolphins would be on line one immediately.
Yes, and I don't think he wants to coach college because I don't think he wants to recruit and get into boosters and donors and all that kind of stuff. He just likes ball. So I don't see that happening until. And by the way, if he wins a Super Bowl at the NFL level, maybe there's a shot. But he's come so close to winning a Super Bowl twice, and it hadn't happened, that he's more obsessed with it than ever. And I don't see him going to college to retreat from that. So he's kind of an NFL lifer anyway. So. All right. You got a couple of questions here that I want to answer before we get out of here, though. How about this one from Cisco? How do you replicate the urgency on offense early? Seems to be the only way to get offense going. It would benefit the defense. I'll give you just one stat because, like I said, I'm going to do kind of a breakdown about this. But I was looking at what I call that crisis mode for Texas and trying to figure out, basically how to bottle it, right? How to replicate that. Here's some of the numbers I found. So, and I only did Power 4 teams. So I'm done with the sample size of San Jose State and all that. We're done with that. We're only doing Power 4 teams here. So their third down conversion rate in what I call crisis mode. So you're talking about after you go down 22-7 to Florida, after you go down 31-14 to Mississippi State, and after you go down 14-0 to Ohio State. 60% third down conversion rate. Your explosive play rate is on those plays alone is over 12%. Your explosive play rate against those Power 4 teams on all the other plays, 4.1%. There is something freaky and crazy going on in that. And it's only been 3.5 quarters of a sample size, guys. 3.5 quarters. I counted the overtime, and I counted 5 minutes of the third quarter in the Florida game because that's when you went down officially 31-14. So you're talking about 3.5 quarters, and you scored 45 points offensively in those 3.5 quarters. I don't know how the hell you replicate it, but Sarkis needs to figure it out. I'm working on it, but I don't know if I got the brain power to figure it out. It is a mystery. I'll say that. All right, a couple more. Florida wideouts. Florida wideouts, Wesco. Thoughts?
Brian, I mean, look, I know we're entering that season. Let's just see. Look, Wesco didn't have any interest in Texas coming out of high school, and Texas did try to recruit him. I'm more in let's see. and it's fun to play this game, but look, I mean, so like with the LSU players, everybody's, hey, which LSU players? Well, what if LSU hires Lane Kiffin? Does anybody think Harlem Berry's really leaving LSU at that point? I mean, we're not that far removed from both Michigan D tackles who were first rounders jumping in the portal. That didn't happen. Go get Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith, come on down. Didn't happen. I think what we have to remember, and then it's in Florida guys, Jaden Ball, Dallas Wilson. Well, let's say Lane Kiffin goes to Florida. Anybody think those guys are actually going to leave? Jaden Ball would be in his last year before the NFL, and he's got the best, as good offensive play caller as there is in college football coming in. Why would Dallas Wilson leave? Why would Jaden Ball leave? Why would any of those guys leave? The only one that might leave would be DJ Lagway if he doesn't want him. So I think it's fun to play the game. I think the reality is those aren't normally the guys that go in the portal because those universities aren't willing to let them leave. Yeah. I think your evaluations have to come from below that and be really good there. I mean, look, Matthew Golden, U of H, first-round pick, right? I mean,
he was like
those are the guys. Yeah, those are the guys. Who is the guy that has really come on since high school? Who is the guy that maybe was better than a ranking? Maybe he was late to football. Maybe he'd been injured. He's back healthy. I think those are more the players in the portal that are realistic.
Yeah, no, the Matthew Golden one's good. He was like the third wide receiver on that team, basically. If you forget that on the team. All right, Paxton, thank you for the super chat. When we were down 17 in the fourth quarter, I never doubted it. I swear to God, I believe you, Paxton. I'll admit that I lost faith for a second there. I lost some faith, but keep hope alive. Thank you, Paxton. Blake May says, do you think Arch will be gun shy running when he returns? His problems now seem more mental than anything. Is this another setback? Thank you, Blake. I do think he needs to protect himself, but I think that game was on the line, and I think he was putting it all on the line. So I'm not saying, hey,
at least he slid a lot this year.
Yeah, I think he's trying to run smart and be responsible.
Yeah, I think in the moment there, I think he absolutely made the right play. It's hard to tell a guy in winning time not to do everything it takes to win a game.
Yeah, exactly.
If you take away somebody's aggression in that situation, I think that hurts a player more than it helps them. Mm-hmm. You got to go win the game.
Yep, I agree. I think he was trying to win the game in that moment, but he's got the contact courage and he's tough as nails.
He's tough. He's almost tough.
Yeah, a lot of contact. So I think when he comes back, he's already talked about that his grandfather and his uncles, like their number one piece of advice is slide, protect yourself, get out of bounds. So he's going to get that a ton. But when it's time to go win, hey, lay it out on the line. Let them hang. All right. Thank you, Blake. We appreciate that. Thank all you guys for all your super chats and participation. Sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but if you have a question that's really pressing, you got to get it answered. Direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football tomorrow. One of them is right here, Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton, bright and early at 8:15. And then we'll have the prime time edition of the Winning Drive tomorrow at 7:15 with myself, CJ Vogel, and Coach Bob Shipley. Also, thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Can't do it without him. And also thank you to our sponsor, our friends over at Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. Thank you guys. We really appreciate everybody joining us tonight for Matthew and for Jerry and Rogue Shop as well. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.